Present.
Dan Schomer.
Present.
Doug Humphrey.
Present.
Dan Burback.
Present.
Jody Lee.
Present.
Karen Wilson.
Present.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item 3, consideration of the council meeting minutes of April 20th, 2026. You all had a copy of those, and you had an opportunity to look them over, take another look up, all of them over, and see if there's any corrections or additions you want to make for those minutes.
I make a motion to approve them.
We have a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Motion been made, seconded. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Number 4, consideration of the administrator's report. Steve.
Today's report's going to be a wrap-up, or an overview at least, of changes since the last council meeting. The most significant being the April 22nd bid opening for the wastewater treatment plant. There was advertised, as a matter of fact, it was extended one more week at the request of one of the contractors in order for them to be able to complete their bid and not be in competition with another bid letting date the week earlier, originally planned date on April 15th. There were 2 compliant bidders. There was one bid which was received after the cutoff date. That is not considered. It is not compliant, and so there are actually only 2 bids that are under consideration. The low compliant bid was submitted by Williams Brothers Construction out of West Peoria. They're I think, pretty well-known civil constructor and does a lot of water and wastewater treatment work in the Midwest. A very large company with a lot of capacity to be able to undertake the project. Just this afternoon, this morning received an email from Troy Stinson with Strand Associates. They're our civil engineer that has done the design work. They're also under contract to do construction supervision work. That's a substantial amount of work over the 3+ years that the project is proposed to continue. And so Strand will be getting a lot of feedback from them once the project is awarded and we get under construction. I've passed out copies of the letter that we received with the bid tab. The base bid was $41,740,000 by Williams Brothers. The opinion of probable construction with contingencies by the engineer was $38,500,000. So it was better than $3 million higher than what they use the language. I call it, the engineer's estimate of cost. They call it probable construction. It's the same difference. The second low base bid was 9% higher than the low bid, so it was fairly comparable. Any questions that the council has as far as we go through, please fire off, because this is just to give you an overview. So the bid seems to be in good shape. It's been reviewed. The bid tab is on the subsequent pages. The action, not for tonight, but 2 weeks from tonight, would be for you to consider a notice of intent to award. Now, the actual award of the contract will be dependent on having the finances in order. We don't want to issue the contract before we can honor the paper that it's written on. We have we're on the intended use program, which is a state of Illinois EPA funding plan for the fiscal year, which runs through June 30th of 26. So there's a little bit of difference between our fiscal year, which this is the first meeting of our fiscal 27, and then the run out of the state's intended use plan through June 30th of '26. By about a little over a month from now, we will probably see the state's intended use plan for the next fiscal year for this same program. We have also submitted for that because there is an unfunded portion of this plan. At this point, we would have to have somewhere of probably $8 or a little bit more than that, a little more, $8 to $9 million of additional funding over and above what has been earmarked to be loaned to us at low interest by the Illinois EPA. So if we were to continue with the project and only have the monies which are in the current intended use plan, we would have to seek additional financing, which most likely would be either through the state of Illinois bonding program on our behalf, or by revenue bonds or general obligation bonds issued by the village. Those are going to be more costly. The other part of the equation that we won't find out, this bid has now been submitted to Illinois EPA for their review, and based on that and the application that we made in April for funding assistance, they will determine if they're willing to sign off for it, and if there are any monies that would be unused in the remaining basically 2 months of the current intended use plan. So if there are other projects that don't move forward throughout the state of Illinois, and this program has extra money left over, they can reallocate that to projects which need the additional funding. It's routine, but it is not a guarantee that there will be those monies or how they will be allocated. So that's why, at this point, the notification that we would ask the council to consider is not an award, but an award and an intent to award based on available funding. So it's a little bit of a dance over the next 2 months between coordinating with Illinois EPA if they're going to make the loan offer and what the rate of interest will be, probably between 1% and 1.6%. If they don't, then the council also has the option of saying, oh, what would it take to secure a borrowing of $8 or $9 million more? And that would not have to be done, would not necessarily have to be completed, but we would in essence be obligating ourselves to follow through with raising that money. Now, it would not be until year 3 that those monies would actually have to be on hand. But there would be a period that we're in hoc for. We're writing a contract that we're going to have to secure the funding for. Today's market was likely to be just a little bit over 4% for us to raise the money that way. So 2.5% to 3% higher than what the borrowing would be for 30 years from the state of Illinois. It has an enormous impact on it. Now, the current proposal from the state of Illinois is that of the amount that they loan us, they would write off $6 million. It in essence becomes a grant because we would not be repaying the state. The rest of it all has to come from user fees. So the current repayment just for the borrowing of the bonds for a period of 3 years, even at the best interest rates, would just about double the portion, the sewer portion of the water and sewer. Now, I'm not saying double the water and sewer bills, because there are 3 components to it right now. There's an administrative component, which is the smallest of the 3, but that takes care of the overhead of running the business of a water and sewer plant, of doing the billing, of sending out the mailings, and those kinds of administrative fees. Then there is a water portion, and it runs about 1/3 of the total, and the current sewer portion is about 2/3 of the total. The other good news is May 1st, 3 days ago, on Friday, we started our fiscal year, and that was the date that our annual bond and interest payment for our existing bonds outstanding on our water and sewer system The next to last payment was made in the amount of almost $300,000. The next one is due next May 1st. That will be our last payment on that. That falls before we would be making any repayment on the Illinois EPA loan. That frees, and that payment will be $305,000 a year from now. So that $300,000 worth of cash flow becomes available to put towards the debt service of the future borrowing from Illinois EPA. So the good news is that the timing allows us to offset the old borrowing falls off, the new borrowing assumes. It would be between 2 and 3 years out, depending on the contractor's completion schedule, because it's tagged to the putting the plant in use. The new plant in use is paraphrasing what triggers our repayment schedule with Illinois EPA. It has to be in productive use. So there's still a financing cost. We're still paying interest on money during the construction of the plant, but the repayment of that loan, the bond and interest payments, don't trigger until the first year after the plant is turned up and operating. So that's kind of an overview of the timeline. There's a lot of pieces yet, even though we know the bid piece. That's certainly the most significant. The second is, how much does financing cost us? In the best scenario is Illinois EPA loans us the entire amount for the construction supervision, which is a $3 million contract with Strand Associates. And this is considered the base bid of the $41,740,000. We are taking a $100,000 deduct. It has to do with the concrete finishing work on the main component of the treatment plant, the Aeromod. And do you want to make any comment on the Aeromod real quick, Kevin?
Well, the Aeromod system is a common wall concrete construction, and it'll do all the treatment processes in that one section of tanks that all these round clarifiers have throughout the facility. So all the treatment process will take place in that structure. And what we were looking at some point was the face of those concrete tanks. They're probably going to be 16 to 18 feet high. And the reason for that is so that we can gravity feed our discharge to the Rock River and not have to pump it. So now we have to physically pump it to the Rock River, so we'll be saving that electrical usage, that electrical cost. So the deduct is, I think the pricing was for 3 of the walls to have the stipple effect on it. And so we're just going to go down to the main north wall, I believe it is, that will be visible from the river.
And that'll allow a $100,000 deduct. So the base bid included the additional work. So that brings it down to $41,640 for the lump sum bid price. And then there's some quantities which are itemized in addition to that. So it remains to be seen. Obviously, there's an allowance for contingencies. There's always change orders on it. A change order very seldom goes down. Most of the time, it's something that gets overlooked or has to be added in, and more often than not, it increases the price of the plant. Not always. Sometimes the contractor will come back and propose an alternate way of approaching something, and it'll be accepted by the engineers and recommended to the council that there be a contract amendment, and there might be some money saved. But we still are very early on finalizing the cost. We're beginning to, we've had to put together for our submittal in April. At what points we have to have what rate structures in place, so that the money is on hand from the water and sewer revenues that come in, so that we can actually, we don't have to cash flow paying the construction costs, because the bulk of that will be from the loan. So the sequence will be, once the contractor is in, given notice to proceed, they begin work and they start doing partial billings. Those billings will go to Strand and Associates. They'll be reviewed, they'll make a recommendation for payment, the council will consider it and recommend contingent upon Illinois EPA approval, and Illinois EPA approval will have the sign off and they will send us the check, and only after we receive that check, a partial drawdown on the loan from Illinois EPA, will the contractor actually get paid. And of course, will be a retainage on those payments as they go along. So comes a very significant, very sophisticated set of financial transactions over a period of about 3.5 years.
Any questions about that?
Is that what they're predicting to start, from start to completion, 3.5 years?
They allowed 38 months for substantial completion.
I believe that's correct.
And then there's obviously, things that they have to go back and punch lists and be finalized and things like that. But essentially, now there'll be portions of it that we will convert over, because during this entire 3-year plus period, we never stop treating the sewage. So the old system has to be online, running, and operational until sections of the new system are cut over. And so it's a very sequenced construction plan. And that, of course, that and the tight constraints of building this all within the footprint of the existing wastewater treatment plant. Then after the substantial completion of the new plant, they'll enter into I think it was scheduled as phased as number 3, and that is the demolition of everything that becomes unused out of the old plant. That includes the whole admin building and the I think the final clarifier goes
Trickling filter.
the trickling filter.
The 2 final clarifiers.
Yeah. So, even after we're up and operating on the new one, there's still substantial work that is done on site.
And talking to Dan, he's familiar with William Brothers. He says they're a good company, so we got someone like Dan who can kind of let everybody know that the bidder was a good bidder and going to do a great job. With Dan being familiar with those, that kind of gives us a lot more confidence that we got a hold of a good bidder, and that helps a lot, I think, when it comes to whoever, because we don't know anything about these people, what they do, but Dan does. So.
Yeah, when I worked for them, I worked for them for 3 years at the Davenport Police Station in the parking ramp. I was there 3 years, when they started it to the end. And then I retired from construction when we finished that job. They've also built Thompson Prison, and I learned through them then that they built a lot of different sewage treatment plants. So they're very well versed in sewage treatment plants.
And that makes a big difference
Yeah.
with your recommendation on that too, knowing that we got a good bidder and
Yeah.
do a good job, so that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Anybody guys have any other questions for Steve? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the administrator's report.
I make the motion.
Motion's been made. Second?
A second.
Second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
And I'll mention just real quickly too, that Sean and I meet tomorrow afternoon with the organization that runs the impact program in the Quad City. So it's a combination of both the contractors and the labor organizations that allow impact agreements. It streamlines the process of both what happens in case there are labor disputes, and also if there are disputes between the different trades on the construction site and remediating those.
Okay, number 5, consideration of the inspector's report. Rob?
Yeah, it's a pretty normal month for April, with a lot of roofs and windows, siding, that sort of thing, your normal plumbing, sewer repairs, water repairs, and then a couple pool permits. The commercial duplex in the industrial park is moving along nicely. It's framed up and roofed, and I noticed today, one by there, they're started framing on the Hy-Vee addition, so that's moving along. And then we have one new construction permit pulled for a new house in Legends of Mill Creek up on John Gray Drive, which I suspect will start any day now. So pretty normal April.
Yeah, that's a good amount of money for April to start out the season, that's true. Yeah, kind of an update on Pineview Apartments, since I'm right across the street from them, and Rob's got the permits that they pulled on those. They are doing a lot of, eliminating a lot of the landscaping that's been there for 30 years, and they've started their project a month or more ago, I guess, it could be a couple months, of all, it looks like, to me, I guess I would describe it like little condos, would you say, all the way around?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks really nice.
Yeah, there's 8 of them up there, two fourplexes, and the first one's framed and weather tight. They're doing the interior, the rough ends, and then the second one should be close to being framed here now. So, yeah, it's gonna be a nice little place.
Yeah, they're really making a lot of changes over there. Even the sign that you couldn't hardly read is now all been cleared of greenery there too, so it's come along really good. I haven't had a chance to talk to Greg, the owner. I haven't seen him around to see how, whatever else is coming down the pike on his end, but just so everybody knows, it's coming along quite nice. It looks really nice too.
Yeah.
On that. Okay, you got anything else you want to bring up, Rob?
Nope.
Anybody have any questions for Rob?
How about the project downtown? I thought I saw over the weekend that two lots were sold, and I think they were part of that. I don't know for sure, but
Yeah, the office building part is completed, and Economic Growth Corporation has moved in there. The other part of that project, the 16 townhomes that they're looking at, I believe they're trying for federal funding to help with that, and that's what the delay is. And the way I understand it, if they build more than the 16 they initially were looking at, then it helps with the funding. So they were looking for some additional, so they might have bought a couple extra lots that they're gonna put some there too.
thank you.
That may be what you saw if they, I know they were looking, and I don't know, you haven't talked to the developer, so I'm not sure. where
I'm
they're
pretty
at.
sure the address corresponded with that, so, okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay, if there isn't any other questions, I'll entertain a motion to approve the inspector's report.
I make a motion to approve the inspector's report.
There's been motion made and second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, consideration of department head reports. We'll start with Gibson.
Well, April, we started up, obviously, we're mowing now, parks are getting longer with grass, and we started our grass and brush pickup again. That started on the 6th of April. We've been working on a lot of winter cleanup. We've had quite a few culverts under driveways that have rotted out that we had to go and replace. That kind of thing. Some erosion spots, especially out in Helen area, we've put some riprap out there to try and alleviate that. And on 12th Street, we had to pretty much cut that whole side down on the west side just to get the water to run off the road, so we don't have a drainage problem on there. It's starting to eat away at the edge of the road, so we cut that down to get the water away. Still working on some of the little league stuff. Other than that, mowing grass.
Same old. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Gibson?
Do you know when the Little League is planning on starting or when the bush construction is gonna?
We haven't had any word on that, so we've been just kind of chipping away at that list that they gave us. So that is probably the next thing, is to figure out what they want to do with the fields and get the fences. Everything else they had on there, we pretty much chipped away at. So we're kind of waiting for those numbers you gave me.
Yeah, we told them we're ready whenever they get that stuff. I haven't heard nothing from
Well, I'm assuming it's not gonna be for another 2 weeks at least, because the Little League group rented park out on Saturday, both diamonds to Rock Ridge, so I'm assuming that they aren't going to start till after that. But you don't know for sure. Thank you.
How can they rent out the park?
I might have said the rent part wrong. Let's just say
That the
they,
school
they,
board owns.
they're, Rock Ridge is utilizing the parks with the understanding of the
Okay.
Little
Are you
League.
talking about Little League or are you talking about the girls' softball?
Girls softball.
So that's not schools,
That's our,
that's us.
Thank you.
So
Yeah.
the bulletin boards, is that so they don't write on the walls again?
Yes.
Oh, good,
So they
okay.
purchased them and we hung them for them.
Okay, cool, thank you.
Are there any more questions for Steve? I'll go to Derek.
We just finished up our spring training, the biannual training that we did, which was good to get everyone through that. And then we just got approved, so a couple months ago, I brought up the IDOT traffic safety grant. We did get approved for that grant, which is a high visibility enforcement grant. We'll be starting that this month, within this month, and that'll go run until September. So we'll put it out on social media for each campaign that we do. But it is something that we were approved for, so I guess, look forward to that in the future.
Anything else? Anybody got any questions for the chief? Okay, no questions? Okay, we'll go to Kevin Farrell next. Kevin?
Yeah, we've had a busy month, it seems like. Cooper has replaced 6 of the 7 hydrants. We're waiting on they have to get some certification through the railroad because the hydrant down there by Joe County, it's across from X-Pac. It's in the vicinity of the railroad tracks, so there has to be some certification training and a few hoops that we've got to jump through, or they have to jump through to be able to repair that, so. Unfortunately, that wasn't considered when we looked at it, so. I know anytime we've had to deal with the railroad, they can be sticklers, so.
You got a
they're waiting.
lot of rules and regulations.
Yes, sir. So, I wanted to mention that the Milton Creek Rainbow Ridge project, meeting that had been scheduled earlier in April, got postponed. It'll be Wednesday, May 20th at 5:30 at the Camden Center. I know that's the group of homeowners out there that are coming in and we're going to be presenting the project and if there's any questions, just informational meeting for, because there's, I think, 3 different little subdivisions in there. The Rainbow Ridge subdivision, which is the one in the back, they're the ones that want the water for sure. The other ones have the opportunity to tie on, so we're just gonna make that information available.
Did you get a time for that?
Is it 5:30?
5:30? Okay.
We did, because of with the boil order, or I'm sorry, with the hydrant replacement, we did have to call a couple boil orders. They're kind of a hassle, but I think the system we have is working pretty well. We get that information out as soon as possible. And then when the boil order gets lifted, that same information is passed out to the system. So I think that's all I got.
Yeah, with that boil order, if we have a valve next to the hydrants, and if that valve's bad, they don't know that, they go in there and start, well, you gotta dig it up a little first to get into it, right? And if that's bad, then they have to shut the water off coming in there like they did over in Cadillac Hillcrest.
Right.
And in order to fix that valve, so that's the reason why we have to have the boil orders. And
are we going to notify neighborhoods via social media?
I talked to Nate about that, and get as much early warning as you can on that. We don't know if we're going to need to give out anything until we actually get in there where we find out the valve either works or it doesn't work.
Right.
But we can also let them know if we're coming to one like that, in advance, we can put it on the Milan, will that code red that we have in that?
Yes.
We could put it on there saying, yeah, we may have an issue with, we might have to shut down the water, maybe because we don't know about the valve. We can certainly do that.
That's the best thing we can do on that situation. Coordinated that with Nate and said that's something we could do. And then, because like I said, we never know until we get into that if we have to do it. At least they got a pre-warning. But I don't know how much warning you're gonna get because they're right there working on it. And it don't take long to find out if the thing works or not. So you really don't have enough time other than to draw a pitcher of water and have it ready. But at least it's something, you know.
You know, and I've seen recently, I don't know if it was Moline, that even before they started at that particular corner, they let the citizens know, hey, we're gonna be in your neighborhood tomorrow.
Right. And he
This can go down. So,
Yeah, because he comes in and starts usually at 8 o'clock in the morning or something like that. And Nate says, and then at that time, Koopman calls and Nate says, we're gonna be working on this hydrant. And so at that time, Nate would know where the location is and he can get the warning out to the people in that area that would be affected as soon as he gets that call at 8 o'clock. So
Right.
we can certainly do that.
well, and no disrespect to Kevin or anyone else that's an employee of the village, I would have been hotter than a firecracker if that would have happened to me. I understand completely how upset all those people in that neighborhood were. I mean, when you're without water for 2.5 hours and no notification, I think we are better than that. And I hope that we I don't care if there's a problem or not, we need to let people know.
Right.
That's not right.
Right. But
I don't care, Bruce. You're not gonna change my mind.
No, I agree with you 100%. I'm just saying, we wish we could do that on water main breaks, but we don't know that
Right.
when they happen.
But we know we're doing this.
Yes,
So let's give some common courtesy.
I agree, yeah, on that situation too. Do you have anything else?
The only thing I wanted to add is that I did get the annual water quality report put together and given to the staff, and that will be mailed out.
I got mine today.
One of those two. Anybody got any other questions?
Kevin, is that normal for a well to lose power? Is that normal?
No, it wasn't necessarily, we didn't actually lose power.
Oh.
The alarm sensed that it was.
Okay,
As we trace the wires back through, there we have a control that senses all three phases coming in. And one of the little control wires had gotten loose.
got you,
And so
okay.
it wasn't a consistent alarm. And so we
Okay.
were able to trace that out and find out that we were okay.
Cool.
Yeah, typically, you don't have the issues up there.
Okay.
If there isn't any other questions for the department heads, I'll look for a motion to approve the department heads report.
I'll make that motion that we approve all the department heads reports.
Second.
I'll second it.
Yes, a motion been made, second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Consideration of semi-monthly and miscellaneous bills. Doug?
The regular payables for this period were $93,389.52, and that included a $433.34 credit memo. It also, and then there was a total miscellaneous of $295,707.50. The regular payables were for the carryover from '26, and the other amount is for '27. For a total, for approval of $389,097.02. The top 5 bills are the Rock Island County for the animal control services. That's our payment for this year, $13,000. Mason and Scott PC legal fees, $11,816.66. 2 bills for Dell Marketing for computers in the 2 areas that we approved about a month ago, $9,846.90 for one and $86,1612 for the other. And then Hawkins Incorporated for Aquahawk, A-Zone, BLK, that's $8,475.90. Are there any others that anyone has any questions on?
What's Aquahawk?
That's polymer for our sludge pressing. Those are all treatment chemicals.
Okay, if there aren't any other questions, then I would make a motion that we approve our bills in the amount of $389,097.02.
Is there a second for that?
I'll second.
Okay, motion been made, second, I'll have a roll call vote on that, please, Michelle.
Dan Shulman.
Yes.
Doug Humphrey.
Yes.
Dan Verbock.
Yes.
Jody Lee.
Yes.
Karen Wilson.
Yes.
Gary Martin.
Yes.
Okay, thanks for paying the bills. And before I go to number 8, if department heads had a long day, if you're ready to take off, you can take off and head out if you want. Appreciate your report. You know, Kevin's got more he wants to bring up to the board. Okay,
Oh, but Derek, you got more work upstairs to do. You got more work upstairs to do.
okay, number 8.
Heck of a-
Consideration of the appointment of Aubrey Tarman as Police Commission Pension Board Trustee for a 2-year term starting May 4th of 2026. This is a reappointment of this lady, and so looking for the board's approval for that consideration to reappoint her for a 2-year term. So I'll look for a motion to, unless there's a question on that, I'll look for a motion to reappoint her.
I'll propose.
Okay,
I'll second her motion.
Okay, motion been made and second to reappoint Aubrey to a 2-year term as a trustee on the Police Pension Board. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. Okay, number 9, approval of the Milan Lions Club to hold Diabetes Alert Day on May 16th of 2026. They pass out candy in front of Hy-Vee and other places like that. They do this every year. Does anybody
For
have-
diabetes?
Yeah, isn't
For
it?
diabetes?
It's weird, isn't it? Pass out, but it's sugar-free candy.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm just like,
I was waiting for that.
I can understand the poppies a little better than,
Yeah.
but,
Well, they work their way up to the upper bodies. Okay. This is something they do every year, and
Yeah.
I've been a member of the Lions Club before, so we've done that quite often. So I'll look for a motion to approve.
I'll make that approval.
There's a second?
Motion,
Second.
I'm sorry.
Okay, motion been made and second to approve Lions Club to hold their Diabetes Alert Day. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, number 10, approval to allocate Chris Johnson's closed Visa credit limit to Derek Rosovich. What this is that the police chief has a credit card, has a little bit more limit than the captain. So when the captain becomes the chief, he still has his credit card, and it has a little bit less on it than the chief normally does. So this is something we do, we did it with Sean, and we did with everybody has. So that's, if you have any questions on that, Steve can answer more to that too, but that's basically what it is.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Okay, motion been made to approve that and second it.
Yeah.
All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carried. I was looking for questions on that one.
No, he's good.
Okay, now, presentation by Hutchinson Engineering, reference Rock Island Mine Parkway Road Project. The gentleman's here, but I'll give you the floor. Sure. You know what I'm saying, don't you? So I was gonna ask that before we start.
Do we get any paperwork on that? We got any paperwork on Hudson?
This one?
Okay. What's some lions? Want some diabetics? Come on, Terry, keep it going.
He's holding his hand there, maybe he is.
I try to remember your first one, is it JD?
JD.
Yeah, Michelle, good memory, Michelle.
We put a PowerPoint together, Your Honor, so if it comes up, then I can walk you through this a little bit. But it's that project that we went over with you to Rock Island County that I think most of your residents will be, is impacted by it. as anybody, so, we've got a project that we're doing for Rock Island County, and we're gonna redo those original lanes on the Milan Beltway from Route 67 all the way to Indian Bluff Road. And if you guys remember, those are the original 2 lanes, the original pavement that wasn't reconstructed back in, well, it's kind of through 1999 and 2004 when they redid the Milan Beltway and did the bridge. Those 2 lanes are still that original pavement. And so we were approached by Rock Island County to do some patchwork on it, and as the project got going on it, they decided to do complete reconstruction. So it's slated to be a multi-year project. We're still working out some of the funding components, but I want to go over it with you folks, like I say, because you're going to have some of the biggest impacts to your residents on it as we're starting the construction phases. So.
Okay, so Beltway PowerPoint, got it.
When's this supposed to start?
So, we are, hopefully gonna have final plans to IDOT by the end of this month. May 29th is the final date to try and get this on a letting for July. I actually got an email back, there's some federal funds that are in this, Karen, and so I got an email back today from the folks saying they would maybe want to push this off to an October letting because it lines up with, after the county gets a second application period where we could get some additional federal funds. So we're gonna have it all ready for a July letting to start with some preliminary signal work and some of that advanced work this fall. The actual traffic pattern movements and all that, regardless of whether we do a July letting or October letting, that won't start until 2027. So the traffic impacts.
Good to know.
All be 2027, yeah. So.
The speedway will still be open.
Yes.
So you're still talking about where we had that Zoom meeting on that start at the stoplight on Knoxville Road and the Beltway and go toward Milan Medical, you're gonna
Yeah.
go that section first?
Yeah, and actually, yeah, I can go through some of that while he's bringing up that presentation. I've got the plan sheets and that on there, but yeah, it's gonna start at Route 67, go all the way to Route 78. We're gonna take out the median in different places, and we're gonna switch it over, and we're gonna do head-to-head on the westbound lanes. And so the only parts of the barrier wall that are gonna get replaced are going to be the sections that we take out, and there's a couple, that have been deteriorated over the years, but otherwise, the barrier wall continues to exist. Everything on the westbound lanes will stay the same. The lighting, Rock Island County decided to go ahead and put lighting in, so everywhere where there's an opening in the barrier wall, there's one in Camden Park, there's one where that private entrance is that was grandfathered in.
Right by Mill Creek there, pretty close.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
and we're gonna put some lighting there in the barrier wall. There we go. And I'm just on that next slide then.
Okay,
And and then we're going to replace some of the deteriorated inlets that are on there because, in some of those areas, some of the stormwater, during heavy rain events, and that, some of those inlets are kind of deteriorated. So they'll be replacing some of those that are deteriorated. One of the biggest things that you guys are going to notice in that conversion at the Beltway and Knoxville Road, we're going to convert those westbound left turn movements, and they are going to be permitted. And that, they're permitted now, we're gonna make those dedicated. So if you've noticed how that line of sight is so bad on those eastbound lanes, as you come up, you lose the sight of that signal from 27th Street on up. And so we determined that we're gonna make that a dedicated left turn, and that'll fall off, and they will not be permitted to turn left until the next signal goes to priority. So We're also going to do video detection there instead of, we're going to take out the detector loops. So, eastbound right turn lanes, so both of the Camden Park entrance and that 27th Street entrance, they're both going to get dedicated right turn lanes from there. And if you want to go to the next slide, I can kind of show you, I'm going to walk up here. And if you guys don't mind cranking your head a little bit, or I'll-
No, you're fine.
But what we're going to do, you can kind of see it start here. We're going to go ahead and do dedicated right turn lanes. This is going to have a full shoulder on it now, a full hard shoulder on that side. And I was going to tell you, Chief Vazovich, that it will only be, I know a lot of folks, you can go to the next slide if you want. A lot of folks like to park there along there, like when fireworks are going on, whatever, and you know, that left hand or that right hand turn lane with that 4-foot shoulder then will eliminate some of that. So there's going to be a little bit of enforcement necessary on your part. And if you want to go to the next slide, then I can show you. So here, you'll see the same thing. There'll be one going into 27th Street, and it'll have that dedicated right-hand turn lane, but then that's when that shoulder narrows down to 4 feet there as well. These are the two entrances. Then it kind of calls out, and you can see it there in a little more detail. But that's the Camden Park entrance, and then the one at 27th. And so if you want to go to that next slide. So part of the thing I want to talk to you a bit about is the staging of the detours, and that's what Karen was asking me those questions a little bit there. We are going to go ahead and take barrier wall out. We're going to move that over. We're going to run head-to-head on the traffic on the westbound lanes, then and have just the delineators. They'll just be those epoxy down, poly delineators in between the travel lanes on that westbound side. And so that's part of the reason we can't start this winter, because you can imagine if we asked the IDOT operations folks to try and move snow off a barrier wall and try and move it across multiple lanes with those delineators, and that it just couldn't work. But we've got this set up to where it'll be, they can do the flyover, like I say, in the fall, and then do all the actual construction work where the traffic movements have to happen in one construction season. So, and that's where I say, even if we do a July letting, whether it's a July letting or an October letting, the only work that'll happen this fall would be that traffic signal improvements and some of the temporary pavement preparation. So we had worked out, we were trying to, I think the last time, Your Honor, when we talked to you, we were still working on maybe trying to do a dedicated detour so we could do that 27th Street entrance all at once, and we weren't able to get that dedicated detour in place. So we're going to stage that entrance. But I told Gibby that we're going to do 2 full 10-foot lanes in each direction the whole time. We're going to put some temporary pavement in so he can get all his equipment in and out of there while we're doing it. And there'll be bi-directional traffic the whole time we're constructing that. We'll do one side of it and then the other. And hopefully 27th Street entrance can probably be done in 30 to 45 days of disruption, but it shouldn't be too long. And like I say, it'll be bi-directional for the whole time.
Yeah, it's too bad that alternate route for the detour didn't go through. That was kind of a nice give me on something like that.
Yeah, it would have been a win-win, but we just
Yeah.
just couldn't piece it together.
Yeah, sometimes that happens.
So we do have to do a temporary closure. That's part of the reason we had to come and visit with you folks tonight, and I'll get into a little bit more detail. But the temporary closure proposed to reconstruct, we're only going to do what's in the county right away there, but we have to close that North Camden Park entrance to do it. And we're not going to do a marked detour, but we've got advance warning that we're going to provide, and I've got that on the next slide. So what we're going to do is basically, notify folks and give advance warning, and the contractor will have to do it to bring them around and bring them to this entrance and then down through here while we have this closed. And it's anticipated that this entrance is going to be closed for about 30 days of the construction period. So the contractor will need pretty much all that for the earthwork and those additional lanes that they're going to add on that south side. So because this has got a lot of federal funds tied to it, and they call this a 4F project, it's just a category that they put it in for the reconstruction, then I'm just going to read this through to you, because this is a little bit of nomenclature, I guess, and that this is not, it's not a major impact to you folks, but because we have to temporarily close that, and it is a public park property, the construction impact does not constitute a use within the meaning of section 4F, but instead the construction impact is considered a temporary occupancy exception so long as it meets these 5 conditions listed in the federal code, and I got those on the next slide. And basically, the duration must be temporary, the time needed, you know, to reconstruct that entrance on the county's right of way. The scope of work must be minor, both in the nature and the magnitude of the changes, and we're not doing anything, we're not changing any of the profile on the county's roadway, we're not changing any of the elevations, and that the alignment stays the same there except for that right-hand turn lane. So there are no anticipated permanent adverse physical impacts to your entrance, and the land being used will be fully restored and back all the way, you know, up to the right of way of your entrance, and it will be at least as good or better than it was before the project. But we have to have a documented agreement with you folks, the owners with jurisdiction over that resource that we're impacting by closing your entrance for that temporary period. So the federal government's really specific, you know, when you're using their money for a project, that we're not having adverse effects on anybody else that could be impacted by it. So what we're asking you folks to do, and I think it may be later on in your agenda, is we provide a letter for you that basically spells out that the project, as you guys see it, doesn't have any negative adverse impacts to your entrance as long as we follow all those 5 things and put this back in a condition, you know, better than it was before. So, Your Honor, we're going to be asking you to approve that and provide it to us so we can put it in with our submittal for our plans and that tie on.
So he's kind of discussed 11 and 12 already, right?
Well, not 12. 12 has to do with the park entrance. That's
Well, yeah.
that's coming yet, but.
Well, he was talking about
I think you have this as item 13 on your agenda is the actual letter I think that you provided. But the, kind of leading up to it, this is the reason that we have to ask you for that letter. And the reason I guess I'm here, part of it, you know, the Rock Island County engineer has resigned and left.
Right.
And so, so we've been doing this project on their behalf, and now the county's asked us to be their acting county engineer for them until they make a permanent replacement. So we'll be kind of serving, wearing a couple hats here for a little while.
So do you have anything else you want to add to the presentation of the Parkway Road project, I think?
I had just a slide on there if you guys have any other questions. I know we had a public meeting, and there were quite a few folks from the villages that came to it, and that's when we were able to answer a lot of their questions and any of their concerns at the time. But those are the only questions we've had from the Milan residents at this point.
Well, since I have to do a motion for each item number, I'll go with a motion to approve JD's presentation for item 11.
I'll make that motion. That way.
Second.
Okay, motion been made second. All in favor by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, 12, a presentation of Hutchins Engineering and discussion of Cannon Park entrance from Rock Island Milan Parkway. And this is the lower bowl that you're talking about here. Entrance?
Yes.
Okay, JD.
So Steve, I've got another,
Yeah, we've got a little spinning wheel here on my computer for the bed, so. There it is.
This on presentation.
so Your Honor, we were on this call with Rock Island County and the mayor and Steve, and I think Sean and Gibby, we were on the call, and I mentioned just in the call, I said, hey, if you have any improvements that you want to do on your Cannon Park entrance, you know, probably be a good time to do it while we have that entrance closed. And we got to talking about there's some drainage, that's a very complex drainage way that goes through there with the drainage structure. I think you've got a lift station down in that area down there for your sanitary. And so they said, yeah, let's take a look. So we met out there. I think and the coldest day of March that we ever shoot. And we went out there and kind of decided to take a look at that. And so what we've done, actually, this is Tom Clark, and I want you to make sure I didn't bring John. Tom. And Tom works with us and does a lot of our hydraulic work, a lot of drainage studies, a lot of site design and that. And so he met with us out there and we kind of take a look at this. And I'll let him kind of walk through, some of the moving parts on this, but we have kind of come up with some suggestions on maybe what we take a look at there if you guys wanted to do some improvements on your side of that entrance while you have this, opportunity and while there's already work going to be going on the county's right away there. So I'll let Tom kind of walk through that and tell them what you've looked at, I guess, in your cursory review.
Okay, yeah, thanks, JD. Again, my name's Tom Clark with Hutchison Engineering. Like you said, we came up here in March to look at this, and kind of a couple big things were drainage issues, drainage concerns, erosion control issues, and potentially realigning this entrance a little bit, so provide a little bit more safety coming in. Drops off pretty good on both sides. We took some pictures so we can kind of step through some of these next few slides, just looking at some of the pictures of the entrance. This is on the east side of the entrance. There you can see on the right is supposed to be a 5-foot diameter culvert. Half of it's silted. This is on the upstream end on the west side of the entrance. It's in decent shape. No obstructions there. This is a
Catch basin?
10-foot deep catch basin. There's, I believe, it's 36 or 42 inch CMP that discharges out there. But one of the things that we were made aware of during, I'm not sure how big of rain events they are, but pretty regularly it seems like it'll surcharge out of this inlet and kind of drain overland across the pavement through here and down to the ditch, but a little bit of erosion issues with that. We want to kind of take a look at what may be causing that to surcharge, if it's an undersized pipe or if that pipe's crushed at all or what. And then that's when I got into looking at kind of the overall drainage area and see, this is one of the ravines back here. There's a 42-inch CMP that comes out of there too. And I started looking at the overall drainage area. There's about 400 acres that will concentrate to just this entrance there. So a bit of erosion out there. And that's another catch basin that's further south, closer to that ravine there.
So there's a tremendous amount of flow is what you're saying?
Yeah, there's constant flow through there all the time. This is just to give you a big idea of what the drainage area is for this. We're talking entrance way up here and it stretches far south down there.
But yeah, that outline of that watershed, there's 400 acres. That's actually, that watershed comes down to that one choke point down in there. So
That's the point that almost goes all the way to Queen Center, correct?
So yes.
That ditch that you're referring to?
Yes.
Yeah, that's quite a long distance,
Yeah.
a lot of water.
And so one of the things that we had talked about, and I know in our discussion, is that not necessarily that we have to worry about trying to convey all that through a network system, but we need to make sure, I guess, that the rain events that you're getting, if you say, hey, we want to design something that's going to be adequate, for a normal rain event, and just understand you have every right to go ahead and let it use an overland route as long as it's not damaging any kind of personal property or anything like that for a 10-year event or 50-year event or 100-year event even. But what we put in here, I guess, just enough, in our proposal, I think we wanted to give Tom enough time to at least study that area enough, not to model it, not to do a full hydraulic model, but just to understand it enough to say, okay, yeah, we think you can could probably manage with a certain size pipe. You could probably manage a 10-year event adequately, and still keep your roadway, and that without being part of the conveyance network. But for something bigger than that, we may have to have a combination of both. And that's what, I think if you see, we put a proposal together that we sent your staff. I think it may be on the next slide of what we thought we could probably do to try and hit some of the moving parts, and I'll let Tom kind of walk through and tell you what.
Yeah, this was just a kind of a quick exhibit I put together based on the limited information we had. Main portion of this would be kind of showing potential realignment of the entrance. Kind of hard to see, but that's where the existing entrance kind of bends around, so we'd be softening up that first radius coming in so it doesn't feel like maybe you're going to fall off the side there. Then we could look at potentially putting some sort of safety railing along there if we think that's needed there. I showed a couple different culverts here, potentially depending on what we find out there. Those aren't something that's set in stone, so there in case we need it.
So, and Gibby, isn't that where you like have B&B and stuff dump in that? So like,
No,
would that affect that?
It's right here.
Oh, okay,
That's into the sanitary.
okay.
The problem that he's talking about is the water comes down and it gets to this point and then it comes across and it's washing out this area on this side.
So the fact that it's going overland through the park is not the issue, but once it tries to come back on into the ditch line and we have that erosion, and we're have a difficult time because it was never designed really to accommodate that.
Right.
So some of our thoughts then were to try and first of all give you, and this is without the benefit of design, I mean, this is more than throwing a dart on the wall, but this is what, we anticipate some of the construction costs would be, but we thought it best to give you that so you guys have got an idea before you give somebody the go ahead to try and start working on the design, to give you an idea of what we think a budget figure. And it's got a 10% contingency because there are a lot of unknowns, but just a budget figure on what we think the construction would be.
What's the number?
Oh, it's.
331.
We're anticipating, $301,000 to do like that construction project with a 10% contingency, so it's $331,000. And we estimate here, like to do that work, and what I've got on here is we got an estimate from Jim Abbott. He does a lot of survey work, and quite frankly, it's cheaper for a community like yours to let us hire Abbott than to use our own surveyors, because they would come from one of our different offices, and it would just cost you more. So Jim does good work.
Jim's solid.
So have Jim do some survey. We got about $6,400 in there for Tom, like I say, to do some drainage study. Wouldn't be a model. We wouldn't do a full-blown, hydraulic study, that 400 acres, but we would try and anticipate, the impacts that you guys are seeing down there through the watershed. And we've got $6,400 in there for that, to do a conceptual layout that would basically get us ready to come back here to this public body and talk to you about, okay, this is what we think it would look like, making those line of sight improvements, maybe those, you've got a pretty steep slope right there, so I'm sure it's tough for Gibby and his staff to try and keep that from eroding, even when you are, using that overland route for heavy events. But we could come up with a conceptual drawing that maybe tries to address all that. And then if it looks good to everybody, we've got about just under $15,000 figured that it would cost to put a plan set together and a set of bid packet together so you could put it out to bid. And then if you wanted our assistance with bidding and the bid documents and that, we've got a price in there for that, and then doing the permitting on it. So get your NOI and your state plan.
And the sequencing of this is, you anticipate that the county project is going to be bid this fall?
Yes, yes, so
And-
you could, to line this up correctly, what I would say is if you decided you wanted to move forward with this, is we maybe try and get started on the design to where, once the county project is awarded, then you could get your project out, and get it ready. And quite frankly, a contract that's already mobilized and working somewhere is going to look real strongly at a sister project that's right there where, it's already right in the works.
And all the timing and the sequencing would be coordinated. It would be, two contracts with potentially the same contractor.
Yeah, yes, and at least, if not for that, at least going on at the same time where, quite frankly, the contractor doing your project wouldn't have to have all the traffic control and all those other things to worry about movements coming in from that entrance. So, the only other thing I put in there is in Gibby, I've labored for Gibby before, so I know he's more than capable of handling his own construction oversight, but we could give you an agreement too for just like the schedule of charges agreement, so if you wanted us available to come out and be available during construction, and that to help deal with the contractor, we'd be capable of doing that. Rock Island County, though, they're using Wilton Hoffman to oversee that, because we did the design on it, we like that checks and balances, so Wilton Hoffman will be overseeing our job on County Highway 78, and that, so they'll have some folks there too, so they may be even willing, if they work for you now, maybe they'd be willing to oversee the job for you in construction too.
You got anything else you want to add to that? Or? Okay.
No, just wanted to say, if this is something that you would be interested in, I can put a formal agreement together, on that and give it to you for your consideration, at a later meeting.
So I think we'll cover that at 13, the next one. Okay, so I look for a motion for Hutchinson Engineering discussion on the Cannon Park entrance.
I make a motion, accept it.
Second.
Okay, motion made, second. You second that, Jerry?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Now, 13 kind of corresponds with some of this. It's consideration of approval of a letter of occurrence of no adverse impacts to Cannon Park from Rock Island Parkway Road Project. And I understand part of this, talking with Steve when I worked on my agenda, that if the board's interested in going with Hutchinson Engineering to do this project, they're already working in there. We're kind of piggybacking on their project with the Parkway, and so we would agree, if you agree to that, we would agree to a letter of concerns, which is, you're just agreeing to go with them on that too, so.
The letters for the requirement of the federal funding for the Rock Island Parkway project. That's the letter they use for the first presentation.
This is just no adverse impact.
We're concurring that, yeah.
Yeah, this, like she said, this isn't, we agreed to the project, this is just a letter that we have to send, they have to send IDOT, is what you're saying on there. Yeah.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
All in favor by saying aye?
Aye.
Motion carried. Yeah, because JD will come back with what you got there on the board on the cost and all that too.
Yeah. I'll bring that, yeah, whatever you guys, if you want to have it out for a formal agreement together.
Because like, it would make sense, we're gonna use the same contractor, which is gonna save money, same engineering group, which is gonna save money. We're gonna do it at the same time as the project, which is gonna help us save money. And I think the only surprises we'll have is probably culvert size. I mean, you never know, you might need a bigger culvert than anticipated for what you get into it,
Well, we have to keep that stage nice and dry.
Yeah. Well, this,
I finally got what you're.
Yeah.
well, this is gonna be a good project. It comes at a time where it works out great for us, where we can save a lot of money on that, so.
Well, it seems like that road coming off of the Beltway is way too narrow.
Well, it is, yeah.
And it's really curvy.
Yeah, so it's not,
Let's just try to straighten it out.
yeah, it should be straightened out.
And I think part of this, we discussed about, isn't part of it that touches the Beltway coming into the lower bowl entrance, isn't some of that already gonna be concrete or something? On that?
Comes in quite a bit,
Yeah, the county's got quite a bit of right over there.
I want to say
On that
150 feet from the center
120 or 150 from center line?
Yeah, from center line.
Oh, that's quite a bit.
So that, it's pretty far in.
Yeah, it's
I think
pretty
it's where
far
the
in.
concrete ends now, and turns to blacktop.
Okay.
So they're just gonna basically pour a straight shot, so we should just hook to that and stay straight.
Pretty much as straight as possible.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, exactly.
I agree with you.
And that'll give us
Yeah.
more area on this side to catch more water.
Yeah.
If we do overflow, instead of going to the other side of the road and the other side. Because we've used, dirt patch, asphalt, concrete, to try and hold that edge.
And it looks like it's just silting in your drain. Yeah.
That entrance is gonna be used quite a bit in the future with the project, with the fall festival and all that too, so it's.
Especially when we get that band shell up there on the
Yeah.
side.
Your Honor, I guess, if you know what, since you said, I apologize, I meant to mention that we've actually got in our specs that they've got on Thursday, the contractor has to be out of that entrance on Thursday before the fall festival and stay out until Monday, and that entrance will be open. I apologize that I went over that and didn't mention it, but yeah, you won't have any adverse impacts in 2027 for your fall festival.
Can't ask for anything better than that, that's great.
You had it in there, JD, we could read it, so.
Okay, sorry about that.
Okay.
You're fine.
Item 14, consideration and approval of purchasing 3 plow fire hydrants. I'll have Kevin speak to this.
The hydrants that we've been putting in, we have a large majority of the plow hydrants. We've got some pricing on that, and utility equipment company out there, for a low price on that particular brand. What we have is right now, we have 2 hydrants ready to replace. One is the Joe Kelly, and the other one was over up on 29th Avenue, I believe, 3rd Street. And then that would give us 1 spare, if something, almost something with that. And then, so if we could do that, purchase those 3, we can move forward. And then, we will be purchasing more sometime, during the summer months, so.
So everybody should have a copy of the bid for Clow or 3 hydrants for $11,700, correct?
Correct.
And that price went up from what you had in December when we got the
Yeah.
plows a little bit, which is, everything's going up, so what are you gonna do? Anything else that you wanna bring up on that,
I
Kevin?
believe so.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to the purchase of these 3 Clow fire hydrants for $11,700.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
A motion been made in second. Have a roll call on that,
Dr.
please.
Freed.
Yes.
Dan Beck.
Yeah.
Jody Lee.
Yes.
Karen Wilson.
Yes.
Gary Motter.
Yes.
Dan Schomer.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried and approved. Okay, number 15, consideration and approval to purchase a hydrant, Buddy portable cordless hydrant and gate valve exerciser in an amount of $5,845. Now, you all have a copy, I passed out to you what this is, give you an idea what that does, to open, close the fire hydrants. And anybody have any questions for Kevin on that?
Why is it so much? Why is it so much?
It's battery operated.
So what? I can get you a half-inch dry battery operated for $200. I'm just wondering why, what is so special about this one?
I think it's the gearing that's involved with it. It's got, quite a bit of, mechanical, gearing and so forth in that head. I'm sure it's been designed to deal with that, the wear and tear of opening and closing hydrants. In the information, it's saying that with a charged battery, you can cycle, 15 to 20 hydrants, so that's quite a bit of work. We're being asked to pick up or step up our hydrant maintenance, which we'll be doing this summer with staff along with some summer help. So we just thought this would be advantageous to get this to help us with that process.
Yeah, this is almost like the same tool Gibson has for the gate valves. You used to have to do all those by hand, you got a piece of equipment that does that automatically now.
We have hydraulic one.
Yeah, because that is a lot, I've cranked those up, that's a lot of turns. And I think what you say on this piece of equipment here, that's got a torque on it to where, as you're turning those, if it starts getting tight, then it recognizes that, so you're not over tightening or stripping it out when it comes around.
Yeah, I think that's adjustable as far as.
Right. And then you see that big long bar on there, you gotta be a pretty good sized guy to hold on to that when it hits it.
Dan pointed out, we definitely will have a handle on that.
Yeah, somebody will have a handle, there's a handle there for a reason, right?
Exactly right.
It's doing, it's gonna do something.
Better have something behind it.
So this is just,
Definitely doing that.
Hold on.
yeah, biggest guy there.
There's some dough.
So this is just another tool that they need to work on their maintenance with the fire hydrants. And it's a tool, I think, like any other tool, it gets the job done a little quicker, a little better. Hopefully it keeps from maybe stripping something out, but it saves a lot of wear and tear on someone hurting their shoulder, which Dan well knows how that goes, on something like that, especially when you got that bar holding on to it. Somebody could get a shoulder injury pretty quick. So if you have any other questions to Kevin Farrell about it, if not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the purchase of the Hydrant Buddy portable cordless hydrant and gate valve exerciser.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, motion been made in a second. I have a roll call on that, please.
Dan Beck,
Yes.
Jody Lee,
Yes.
Karen Wilson,
Yes.
Mary Motter,
Yes.
Dan Schoen.
Yeah.
Doug Humphrey.
Yes.
So you give Kevin his first chance to turn that thing on and off. I'll tell him to start working out the gym.
Maybe once my eyes heal.
Yeah. Okay, 16 committee reports. Dan Burbeck.
Nothing.
Jody.
Nothing,
Karen.
nothing.
Nothing. Jerry.
Nothing.
Showman.
Stick around.
Doug. Yep. Lincoln. Steve, anything you want to add?
We got a notification from Illinois DOT today that Iowa Interstate Railroad is going to be starting work on the railroad crossing on Big Island Road next Monday. And at midnight, Monday going into Tuesday morning, from midnight to 4 a.m., up to 4 hours, the Big Island Road will be completely closed down.
Oh, boy.
No traffic either way. That's the only way in and out.
Oh, wow.
How could they, well, they're the railroad,
They're the railroad and the Illinois
Railroad.
DOT.
and the railroad can't be
They
done.
do if they have to get an emergency vehicle now.
Well, and that's a good idea. I put a text into our fire chief and,
You'll have to go down
to advise
that
him.
dike or something.
Yeah, and,
They got that green little thing that can go down the dike.
they can, but
Yeah.
depending on how they set up the equipment, because they're gonna raise the track, during that process.
Oh.
So I'm not even sure on the north
Yeah,
side that
you're right.
that you can even get on top of the levee
I
from.
wonder if the chief could put a truck and
On both
emergency
sides.
vehicle on both sides.
Yeah.
Isn't there an entrance around your salt bin that goes around the lake?
There's something around, it's not like.
You could, but you can cut across by the sewer plant and go down there, but it's wet.
Oh. Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah.
Only on a dry day.
Chiefs.
So there's gonna have to be some coordination with police and fire there, as well as, I don't know how well it's gonna be promoted. We put it as an alert with the red banner across the top of our website and the story on it. We ran that today, and we'll keep it up because they're projecting a week's worth of work on that. We'll leave it up.
It'll be closed for a week.
They'll be doing work during the week. It will be closed for up to 4 hours, midnight to 4 a.m.
Are we required to notify the press?
We are not required. The DOT sent the notices out themselves.
Okay.
We reprinted their notification, and it points back to the DOT.
So they're
Now-
responsible.
Now, what I would like to do too is next Monday, put an alert out on Code Red to say that it's going to be closed down midnight to 4 a.m.
Perfect.
So they did the tracks over on 10th,
Yeah,
right there by the old Mother Hubbard's cupboard. I don't know what
Right.
that's called. They were quick.
they were quick.
They were quick.
And-
They
and
got in and got out.
I'm sure they anticipate it being less than 4 hours.
Yeah.
But, whether it's 4 hours or 45 minutes, it's still gonna close the road down.
Yeah.
Well, that was a signal problem over there.
Yeah.
So
They're
they
not
didn't
lifting the
replace the
track.
tracks. They had to pull them out to get the wires fixed and get back
Oh.
in. Over here, they're tearing it out. So
They're tearing the tracks
and everything.
The
Yeah.
road is moving over to the north side, and there'll be somewhat on Big Island's levee, at the toe of the levee. So that, they'll be going through that parking lot.
Yeah.
And that service road from the Legion will no longer be there.
Yeah, they're closing down that parallels the east side of the railroad tracks. They're permanently blocking that off with this work. So there'll be no more cutting through to Big Island Road. And then during this week's worth of construction, they'll have temporary lights up, and this runaround will be north of Big Island Road through the parking lot, then back up on top, and it will be one lane. So it's, there'll be, that typical kind of, everybody stops and then goes one way, everybody stops and returns the other way.
With the new regulations, they have to move all the signal boxes 20 feet away.
Oh, boy.
Tracks.
Yeah, they got major
So that
stuff.
box is gonna be right in the center of that road.
Oh, wow. Amazing.
With the arms.
So nothing else.
Nothing else? Okay. Dave, did you have anything for Metrolink?
No, I don't.
Okay.
The Channel Cat is on track to be running on Memorial Day weekend. And with that, the Davenport dock is scheduled to be done and open at that time. It's redone that whole area. Needs to happen. Down by the river.
Okay, thanks. Okay, if that's all we have, I see for now, I'll make a motion for an adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
Make a motion.
I'll second
Second,
hers.
okay, motion made, second to adjourn, all in favor by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion carried.